Hey guys, welcome back to the shed. Today we are going to be doing another knife project. So recently I got some 1095 from Tyler and I wanted to experiment and try a new kind of blade design that I haven't tried yet. So this is what I want to be going for, a coffin handled Bowie knife. Normally I love to incorporate bellies and stuff like that into my blades, but this blade is obviously just a nice straight edge and a nice drop point, and I thought it would be a fun challenge. The coffin handle shape is also something that I want to experiment with. I've never done before. I'll have decorative pins in, but I am gonna go with a hidden tang route for the handle construction. Guard will be looking like this, and it'll be made out of flat stock, probably this actually. It's another old piece of 1095 that I just had lying around. And that frankly is enough said to get this thing going, so let's throw this into the forge. We're gonna forge out about an inch of it into a tang first, and then we'll move on to actual blade shape and drawing out the blade. I want the handle to be about 4.5 inches, and I want the blade to be 6 inches long. Okay, that is this thing forged out, and just in the nick of time because it is now snowing. It is April. Gotta love Utah weather. Anyway, I'm going to first of all give this thing 2 normalizing cycles off camera, then we'll do some pre-grinding, get that tang more fully defined in this little Picasso-ish area. I don't even know what to call it. And then we will quench and temper this bad boy. Alright, so I decided I want to try a hamon, so I've got some Satanite here, left over from a forge build you guys will see maybe next week or the week after. But basically the idea is that I will put Satanite refractory on this backing to keep it soft, while the edge still gets hard in the quench, which can also create a cool effect if you acid etch it. And because of the hamon, I will be oil quenching, which isn't something I always do here. Something I want to transition into more though. Alright, that quench seems to have gone good. Did not feel or hear any cracks. But I guess we'll see. I've already tried a hamon before and the blade snapped clean in half after. But that's because I used water that time, which was, looking back, not the smartest idea. There is a slight kick to the right that the tang is doing, but that is going to be a relatively easy warp to fix. I'll just do it off camera probably. So I'm going to clean off the Satanite, and then we are going to get this thing thrown into the toaster oven to temper. So that finishes it up for the grinding for the most part on this thing. I had to get it really thin because I was chasing some forge scale, and as you can see there's still a few flecks at the top that I wasn't quite able to get without really compromising the structural integrity of the knife. So this is up to a 220 grit grinder finish. Bevels are actually also pretty shallow because of how thin it got. It only really goes back to where this lip ends. So now this thing is ready for hand sanding, but before we do that I want to actually work on the guard. Get that thing shaped up because I'm also going to be hand sanding that, and then we can get this thing hand sanded and throw it into an acid etch to see if that hamon line is very bold or not. Now that these are both up to a grinder 220 finish, it's time for the glorious cause of hand sanding. Alright, and there we go. We got both of these hand sanded up to 400 grit. Only really tried this stick trick with the guard, which made my hand sanding go literally about 2 times faster, so got me looking a little bit like this. But you know, that's alright. That's alright. It's a learning process, and I'm happy to now have that for the future. So I'm actually going to just get the handle fitted up slightly so then I can work on that while these things are etching, and then we'll actually be able to glue this thing together pretty soon, get some decorative pins in, and get this thing almost finished. Alright, now that we've got this thing all drilled through and whatnot, we are ready to get it etched while we go and work on the handle. I'm going to also be etching the guard because that is going to make all this look conformed to the uniform. And here we are back at the etching, and the blade. It's a very faint hamon line I can see, but not very defined. That might be because of the acid I used or something else. I honestly am not very experienced when it comes to hamons, but I'm excited to keep on trying them to see if I can get a better go at them. To be honest though, I'm really happy with how this patina slash just blackout looks on the blade, so I'm not going to really change that, I think. And I had to let the guard sit for a little bit longer since it was not quenched, but here we are. It is nice and blackened and matching the blade. Whoa. Hopefully this thing dries up and we'll get to grinding down the pins and stuff tomorrow. So, here we are, next day. It is all glued up, everything seems solid. I just need to grind these pins down to be flush with the rest of the handle. Get it up to a hand sanded grit, probably just a 400 grit finish on the handle, maybe a little bit higher. Oil it up, sharpen it, and this thing should be almost done. And of course, no video will be finished without a nice sharpness test. Well, that is going to do it for this coffin handle Bowie knife. I am so stoked with how this thing turned out. I'm so happy with just the overall look, the design. A little bit sad we couldn't get the Hamon to work, but we'll get that one next time, right? The blacked out look honestly ended up looking really clean and was kind of just something that I'm happy ended up being the second option. And overall, I hit the specs that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Kept it a kind of classic looking, definitely a different kind of handle and blade shape that I'm used to, but that's not a bad thing. And with that, I'm going to sign off for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, to like, to comment. All of that stuff helps out the video a lot, and I would really appreciate it. But that's enough for me today, guys. See you in the next one.